Well, welcome to Detroit in Black and White on the Wednesday edition. I'm Adolph Mongo with Vanessa Moss, attorney Vanessa Moss. How you doing, Vanessa?
I'm fine. Attorney Vanessa Moss, candidate for 36th District Court Judge.
Okay, and here we are, Jim Nardone. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Ain't no question. So we done had a busy weekend, and I've been ranting and whatever the fuck I've been doing and shit. We all know about the two young men that was gunned down at the Eastern Market doing the Lions tailgating and shit, and the prosecutor said, "Oh well, it's justifiable homicide. I guess I don't know. It was self-defense, and I'm not an attorney, but the bottom line is, and I don't have a problem with if somebody pull a gun on you and you pull a gun back on them and you defended yourself. But what about the guy that he wasn't even involved in the shit, and a bullet came and killed him. But what was the worst shit in the world? It's all on the internet. The assholes taking the pictures of these folks laying up there dead and shit. You know what? It just fucked with me because it makes me go back and look at when I identified my older brother back in 1980, and he's dead. Somebody shot him in the face and shit. 2 hours before, I had talked to him and saw him. And here we are on the fucking internet, and here, whether they got kids, whether they got cousins, whether they got their mama, their daddy, here it is. It's there. And one person laying out there, bled out, the other one, oh man, it's fucked up. Jim, you saw more death than I can ever see, or whatever. You're a police officer, what? How many years?
27 and a half, almost 28
Okay,
years.
you are seeing your share of dead bodies, am I correct?
Yeah, yes, I have.
And it's still in your mind, am I correct?
There's a lot of them that I still think about, and then they come to me sometimes, and you just be walking down the street or something, and this vision comes to you. So it's a tragedy. Any death is a tragedy, but the real issue here, you talked about self-defense. The political stance is, a good guy with a gun never beats a bad guy with a gun. But here's a perfect example of a good guy with a gun defeating a bad guy with a gun. Sadly, the third party lost his life. I'd like to see what kind of ammunition the shooter had, because it went right through his head, into the head of another guy, and sadly killed him. It's tragic. Those guys are gone for good. They're not gone for the weekend. They're gone forever. And a man with 4 young kids, it sounds like, their dad is gone, and their dad was playing peacemaker, and he was, in his 40s or 50s, young enough to have common sense to try and stop the event. But it appears, like I said before the show, I go to almost every Lions home game, and firearms are not permitted in Ford Field. The NFL does not permit any firearms. So at some point, if they were at the game, they went back to their car and got their gun, or they did not participate. They did not go to Ford Field. They just went to hang out and party. Well, the mixture of alcohol, drugs, whatever the case is, football, and firearms should never happen.
Yeah. First of all, I was at the Eastern Market where they tailgate every Sunday. I was down there Sunday before last, and it was like this. But excuse me, to Adolph's point and your point, Jim, it's very disturbing. I didn't even want to read or see anything about it. People were telling me about things that was on the internet. I didn't want to see it. It was just very disturbing. But what comes to mind is this: war. You expect to see dead bodies when you're engaged in war. This was a situation where the people live in the city, they're having a good time, and because of someone who feels emboldened because he has a gun, you taking my parking spot because supposedly it's over a parking spot. We get into it. Then I'm gonna take out my gun, and I'm like, you take out your gun, you gonna point your gun at me. I'm gonna point my gun at you. You gonna fire at me or act like you about to shoot me? I'm gonna shoot you. It's just really sad. You expect death in war. You don't expect death in your city streets where people live and have fun. It's very, very sad. Very sad.
Well, very sad. It that's all the folks that's in Detroit, or not just in Detroit, but other places that had to go to the morgue and identify their loved ones and shit. I went to the fucking Oakland County morgue and looked at my brother that I saw 2 or 3 hours before, and somebody shot his ass. You know what? It was on me. Nobody else wanted to go. You know, you have to identify somebody, and I'm like, God damn. And I'm thinking about my brother. He's 33 years old. I'm in my 20s and shit, and I'm like, fuck.
Well,
What the fuck is going on with
well,
this shit?
well, Adolph, I had a similar situation with my brother. He was almost 14 years old. It was a block away from my parents' house. My mother actually heard the gunshot. She never thought that it was her kid. And I understand that when she went to go and identify, when she and my dad went to go identify my brother's body, that she passed out. She just fainted. So, and I know for a fact that the dynamics of my family was forever changed as a result of that. And again, you don't expect those kind of things. My brother was not robbing anybody. It was during the time when they called it Devil's Night. So it was the night that people set fires and throw rocks and things like that. And he was with a group of friends of his. And this older gentleman thought that he had thrown a rock, a boulder at his window, and he decides to go out and shoot him. And what was really sad is that the family of the killer indicated to my parents that they were very sorry that it happened. They could not say that he did not do it. The man suffered from mental illness. It's just a really sad situation. This cough is killing me. I'm sorry.
But you know what? It reminds me of a woman that I went to school with, and she was had a sister. They was only the two in the family, and they were from Pontiac. And sister went out on you know how you soap up windows and stuff, and you throw eggs, whatever. Go back in the day, and the guy came out and he shot at the kids and killed her sister. And you know, talking to her, it was like, you know, her parents were never the same. You know, people never be the same. Listen, you deal with death all the time. We lose relatives. You know, I just lost a cousin, but he died of natural causes. He he had an illness and shit, and you accept stuff like that. But if you at home and somebody says, "Oh, my son went to the football game and he got shot at the Eastern Market," fuck, god damn, Jim, how can you deal with some shit like that, man?
That changes a family's dynamic forever. Thank you for we don't like your music, or somebody doesn't like your music that's weighing in there. We like all music here. Every bit of music has some kind of value. So I don't really like your name. I like to know what kind of music we're talking about out there. Just kidding. Thanks for weighing in. You know, families are forever changed when something like this happens, and there is no recovery. You know, I lost my brother to cancer when he was in his late 40s, and my mother has never recovered from that, and probably never will. She's 88, and it's something that we all think about every day. My parents had 5 sons, and we lost the youngest, and our family will never be the same. Can you imagine the family of these 4 young kids?
No.
He went to a football game, or he went to hang out for a little bit, maybe blow off some steam, have a couple drinks or whatever, and he's gone.
I see a Lions. I see a Lions jersey on the guy laying up there on the street. It's just they laying out there like it's just fucked up that we dealing with it. And listen, I can be mad at Kim Worthy and say, "Oh, why she ain't charged it?" Listen, I'm not an attorney. I'm not the prosecutor and shit. And I know Kim Worthy is a hard ass. So if she says it's self-defense, it's self-defense. It's just like the damn rapper Proof. Remember Proof?
Yes.
Listen, Proof went to a bar, went berserk. He was high, did all kind of shit, and the security guard, they tried to kill him. He killed Proof, and people wanted Kim to kill basically lock the security guard up, and the prosecutor said, you know what, Proof was out of control and shit, and the guy protected himself. So, you know what? And Kim don't make those kind of decisions lightly, because she's a hard ass, and she comes down on a lot of folks. So I accept that the self-defense, but I have a hard time accepting innocent motherfucker that's just standing there with a bullet, went through one person's head and went and killed another person. Man, that should tell you these weapons is something else.
Well, you know what else is bothersome? It's what you said. I refuse to look at the things. Social media is crazy. They showing the dead bodies. They showing it over and over again. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said another friend of ours put in a comment, you guys need to stop this. You guys need to stop showing this. These people have families. This young man has children. You guys should not be showing this. But people are so cruel and hardened by this, and it appears to me that every single day there's a shooting, there's a death, whether it's justified or not. I just don't think that, personally, I don't carry a gun. I don't have a license to carry a gun, or maybe I shouldn't be saying that. But I have people ask me all the time, Vanessa, why don't you get your license to carry? You need to carry a gun. And I always say that people who carry, and I'm talking about people like myself, you feel emboldened, okay? You got a gun, I got a gun, you threaten me, who you think you talking to, or whatever the case may be. It just is that, along with drinking, okay? Drinking and talking ish is a bad situation. It makes
it's a bad situation. Listen, I thought about joining the police department when I got out of the Marine Corps. And I said, but a person like me don't need a weapon.
You absolutely correct.
Right? I don't need a weapon. I don't want a weapon, because if I have a weapon, I'm going to use the weapon. I don't need the weapon. And I know that I can get into an argument. And I got into an argument. I don't even have to have a drink to get into an argument with somebody,
I know.
and I can go off on somebody. So I'm not trying to walk around and say I'm the baddest motherfucker in town, because I ain't. Because there's always somebody badder than you.
Right. Absolutely.
Ain't no question. So here we are. It is what it is, and what can I say? Well, let's take a break. We come back and continue the conversation.
This is Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat running for the U.S. Senate. I want to share a story about who, more than anyone, taught me the importance of listening and accountability. It was President Barack Obama. I served in the White House on his national security staff. I got to see him in action, up close, and behind closed doors in the Oval Office. First, he was brilliant, and therefore demanded people really knew their stuff. It was President Obama who grilled me on issues and demanded accountability on what we said and did. That commitment to accountability is exactly the approach I use today, listening to our communities. It's why I've written an opportunity agenda with detailed plans to strengthen Black businesses, increase Black wealth, and provide real opportunities for our youth. Because, as President Obama taught me, you better say what you mean and mean what you say. So that's why I approve this message.
Neighborhood beautification, that's very important to Detroit. It's very important to block clubs, organizations, and people who live in the community. We got started with 2 lots and a vision of a treehouse center. Because if we can take these blighted lots, Detroit give us grants to be able to do something with them that the community wants, it's a plus because we're bringing our neighborhoods back to where we want them to be, where they should be, all because I live in Detroit.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Damn! Listen, over the weekend, I thought that war, you know, the Israelis took it to another level with the pages.
Yeah.
Jim,
That's some scary stuff.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Thanks to Denzel.
unbelievable. Let me go to the cop. Jim, what you thought of that?
My reaction was technology is pretty scary because we started killing people with drones about 15 years ago in Yemen and some other places, but this takes it to a whole new level. 2 days of it. The first day was the pagers, right?
Right.
They got involved in the supply chain, secured those pagers, armed those pagers, and killed and injured a lot of people. And today or yesterday, I guess it was the second day, if it was today, was walkie-talkies.
Yeah,
and they killed more people, I guess, in the second string. And they're not screwing around. It's one of those fuck around and find out things with the Israelis. They never quit. They keep coming.
Right.
So they're not going to quit.
Right. For me, it's like surreal. Initially, I was like, no, this has to be wrong. Surreal. As you guys say, unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's scary. Very scary.
But you can't win a war when you're fighting on 5 fronts. You want to fuck with the Yemen folks, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Iran, Iraq. You know what? And you know what? Israel is surrounded and shit. But well, we know who created all that shit over in the Middle East was the British and the US. Yeah. And now here we are, we dealing with it and stuff.
But they're all lobbying.
But Vanessa, I was reading where Rashida Tlaib telling Arabs in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, etc., do not vote for Harris. Your take on that?
Well, I believe that Congresswoman Tlaib has been transparent about her stand from day one. Okay. I'm not going to say that she's not representing those people in the 12th congressional district. I will say that she's looking out for her people back at home.
Well, but those people didn't get her in originally, and you know, and people like Allan Lengel, Allan, I love you, but you supported her, and that and she from day one was a Gaza. It was all about Gaza. It wasn't about the 13th district. Okay, go ahead.
So
I agree with you. I agree with you.
That if anybody is upset with her, my question is why? Because she has been transparent about how where
Don't matter, but she ain't right. It don't matter if she's transparent or not. She represents people. It don't matter if she's transparent.
People voted her in knowing that.
Well, but so that's what they get.
So well,
that's what they get. That's what they get. Now, let me ask you this: Trump met with the mayor of Hamtramck. They want to support him. All these folks. Listen, if Trump had his way, he'll deport most of these folks that he says, "Oh, okay, support me." You know what? I don't get it. I don't get it. You tell me, Jim.
Well, I can't tell you anything. All I can tell you is this: people support him. People support her for their own reasons. People vote selfishly, and you know that when they go in that ballot box, they're thinking of their reasons as to why this person should be voting in office and how it's going to impact their individual lives.
Well, whatever. Jim, talk to me.
The vice president is in a no-win situation. If Trump were the president, they would be against Trump. That's the real bottom line. Sadly, you go back, and I was thinking about this as you were having your conversations. 1945, the United States killed a lot of civilians when we dropped those bombs over in Japan and Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Right.
A lot of people. We didn't. So the theory is they kill civilians.
But the Japanese killed a whole lot of people too. And they raped a whole lot of people in Korea. They killed, listen, in China, they raped hundreds of thousands of women and children and whatever. You know what? World War II was a nasty fucking war. Everybody was savages. The Russians, the U.S., Britain, all these folks.
Back to the vice president, we are supplying Israel with arms, and these arms are being used to kill Palestinian children.
Did she make that decision, though, or did the president of the United States make that decision?
I'm not talking about the congresswoman. I'm not talking.
You just made a distinction and said the vice president. I just want to make sure that you're clear. Let's get it right.
Okay. My point is that she's running for office, and it's the administration that she's attached to. I'm not blaming her at all. It's
okay. Listen, I support Israel. I support Israel, but I don't support Netanyahu continue to bomb and kill civilians and shit. Israel has a right to defend itself, but they don't have a right to just to kill all these folks. They keep bombing everything, and they piss, and I understand it. I understand it. They piss. And what's gonna happen? All these hostages that they got, they not coming home because they all gonna get killed. And I think Netanyahu, he wants all the hostages to die because that keeps him in power, and that keeps him from stop him from going to jail because he's a criminal. But the bottom line is, it is what it is.
Back to Vanessa's point. I want to just back up for just a second, Vanessa. I said at the beginning of the conversation that if it were Trump, he would be in exactly the same position. My point was she's in a very difficult position because she represents the current administration. And the U.S. government's been doing this since the beginning of time, and Trump is no different. If he is elected, he will absolutely support the Israeli war effort. So it's not anyone's fault. It's the way that
it goes back to 1948. When the U.S. was the first country to recognize Israel. Right. Nobody else wanted to recognize them, and Harry Truman recognized Israel and said, "Hey, we sent Ralph Bunche, a Detroiter, African American over there, and he negotiated a peace settlement." Listen. The Palestinians had an opportunity to have their own country, Palestine. They didn't want it. Listen, most of the Arab states don't like the Palestinians. The Jordanians say we got a ton of Palestinians in our country. Egypt don't want the Palestinians. Syria don't want the Palestinians. Iran don't want the Palestinians. So who wants them? They've been in these camps for 50 years or so, and it's all on the backs of the Israelis, and they saying, damn, will this shit ever end? It don't seem like it's ever gonna end. It's gonna keep going on and on and on.
I agree.
Just as senseless killings are going to go on and on and on in the streets of the cities in these United States of America.
There ain't no question. Well, let's let's go to the attempted assassination of the ex-president. Jim, what do you think of this golf?
I think the Secret Service they failed again in the shadow of their last failure. I don't really understand it, right? The head of, I watched the interview with the press conference, and the Secret Service said how great they did. One agent did a tremendous job. He's probably saved the life of the former president. But to not search the outside of a golf course, Secret Service, and their excuse is it was an off-the-record kind of event. Well, guess what? Presidents do stuff off the record all the time. Ex-presidents, vice presidents, they should be protected no matter what. I don't get it. I would not be taking credit for it if I were the Secret Service. I would say this is another failure. And I hate to talk about law enforcement failure, because we have a lot of good people out there in law enforcement, and I support them. But the federal law enforcement is failing us.
Vanessa.
I find the whole story suspect. I'm sorry, I do. And I know we talked about social media earlier today, but there are a lot of people who feel the exact same way that I do. Something don't smell right. I'm sorry. And this guy, if somebody is making attempts on your life and you still walking around like it ain't nothing, again, as they say in the street, it sounds sus.
The bad guy's responsible. What do you mean? Give us more information, because I'm puzzled by your point. But you don't like my music. Nobody's responsible except the bad guy. Anyway.
What I'm saying is, I don't know if I believe that it was really an assassination attempt on his life. I don't know if I really believe that. All the surrounding circumstances is very suspicious to me.
Well, anyway, as we come to a close.
What is your take on it, Adolph? You didn't give your take.
My take? Fuck Donald Trump. You know what? Because I think it's all fake news. No, that's how I look at the shit.
So do we have time to talk about the RenCen real quick, or no? We run out.
Go ahead.
So we're talking about what might become of the Renaissance Center, and
I hope they tear the shit down.
Well, it's interesting. So if you go to South Carolina, Adolph, you have family in South Carolina, you travel a lot, Vanessa, you travel a lot. Everywhere you go, in fact, about 5 miles west of where I'm sitting right now is a Del Webb property. Why doesn't somebody like Del Webb turn that into housing for seniors. It could be a little city. It could bolster the whole city of Detroit if they had, say, 500-600 small condos there.
Vanessa, what you think of the Renaissance Center?
Listen, I think it's quite interesting that the same person who got the property where the new Wayne County Jail was supposed to sit and the new courthouse was supposed to sit, that owns the 1300 Bobian, that now has the old Wayne County Jail and the new Wayne County Jail and the Juvenile Detention Center. I think it is quite interesting that now he has the option to own that property. That is where I am with it.
Well, can they?
Detroit, it'd be downtown, okay?
Well,
It will be downtown. The same individual. I'm sorry, and he moved all these people. Well, enticed them to move out of the General Motors building into his new.
But the General Motors moved to Warren. They moved their headquarters to Warren. They killed the Renaissance Center. They closed everything down. That's not on Dan Gilbert, but I know what you're talking about. I ain't blaming Dan Gilbert.
That's where I'm stuck now. Do I think if they tear it down,
tear it down?
The area there will be very, very nice.
Well, they're gonna have they can leave one of the buildings up, but tear all that shit down. Tear it fucking down. You know, the Renaissance Center was
It's not even an old building.
Right.
Tear it down. Why? Why do you think it should be torn down? Why?
There's nothing. It's empty. It's empty, sweetie. There's three towers that's empty. They got nothing there. So you know what? If I had my way, let all the homeless move up in there. Name it New Jack City and let them live there. That's what they need to do. Let them have New Jack City. Let them have New Jack City. But it is what it is. And I'm gonna go to Jim. You're a sports fan. Is the Tigers gonna make the playoffs?
I have no idea. I have not watched the Tigers in years, but
you will be. You'll be at the game because you're slappy. You just like Lengel, you know.
I just want to say, in closing, and I'll let you guys finish with the closing, I just want to say thanks to everybody that's watching. We have some of the smartest people in Southeast Michigan that are watching our show, and we appreciate them. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, and you know on Saturday we're going to be at the new Justice Center, and we're going to talk about the issues of what's happening there, because, you know, attorneys like Vanessa Moss, they cannot talk to her clients because everybody is ear hustling. They listening to what you got to say. Am I correct?
Well, the whole building is mic'd.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
There are safe spaces, right?
Where the safe places?
With each courtroom, there's two rooms on each side of the courtroom, conference room, and those are supposed to be safe spaces. But if the court is closed and you're trying to meet with your client, that it presents an issue because you only have 5 rooms where you can visit, and you have over 1,400 inmates in that jail. You have the Wayne County Deputies Department, they're severely understaffed. So you have to wait hours and hours to meet with your client. And I will say, and when we talk about this on Saturday, I even said this, it's not Raphael Washington's fault. The way they constructed this thing and the way they rolled this thing out, it's so many issues. And when we talk about it Saturday, I'm going to talk about just the optics. We're living in a time where we're talking about social justice. We're talking about changing the mindset. You go over there and look at the fact that you got juveniles housed right next to adults housed right there with the criminal court, that is a problem.
Well, you know what you
Because it
you
looks like you're talking about junior high school,
at
and
school and
college.
college, and there ain't no question.
These, like,
Ain't
what are
no
you thinking?
question.
What are you thinking? Are you telling people that these kids that you can't see anything beyond what's in front of you, which is the adult detention center? That's the kind of message we're sending to these kids. That's the kind of message that we're sending to these kids in this community and the area where the place is constructed. An old incinerator? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, yeah, no question. And I worked on the incinerator.
Talk
And,
about
and
it Saturday.
I worked on the incinerator when they resource recovery. It's not the incinerator, the resource recovery.
Whatever. They
And
call
it smell and the
it.
smell and whatever. But anyway, Frank Lloyd Wright did not design the damn jail. Somebody else that didn't get into architect school
Jim, have you
did
gone
it.
over there? I want you to go over there so you can see for your dog.
I've been over there.
Saturday.
I've been over there.
Your dog, but I need you guys to just oh
We going over there. We'll be over there Saturday. But
yeah.
anyway, I want to thank Jim. Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Teresa.
District Court.
Okay, I'm Adolph Mongo. We'll be at the new what do they call it?
It's called the Criminal Justice Center. Now the actual courthouse is really, really nice. It looks really
Okay. Okay. We'll be over there Saturday. We're gonna talk to Ray Washington. And I know we got folks that they don't like Ray, but Ray all right. You know, I like Ray. And then I like the people that, you know, some people don't like Ray. But
some
when
people don't like you. Some
when
people don't like Jim.
oh, and they don't like me, they don't like you. Nobody don't like nobody. You know, we all know a high ranking person that we had on the show. They were scared of Jeff.
Oh, you know what? We need to. Well, I thought we should talk about something, but then I'll be triggering. But
No, we gonna do whatever. We want to say thank you, Teresa. And without Teresa, we wouldn't even be doing this shit.
right,
Thanks,
Yeah,
you know,
no
like my
question
music.
about it.
true that.
I've got a supporter out there. There's not enough, but there's a
Right,
few.
right.
There's no question. And we'll be back on Saturday. Vanessa Moss, attorney Vanessa Moss. That's my girl, even though I can't stand her ass at times. And
Okay.
Jim Nardone, Jim is my guy. And I'm Adolph Mongo. This is
Jim,
Detroit in black and white. What?
I said, you lucky, Jim. He loves you.
Oh, well, you know, Jim, well, it is what it is. And Allan Lengel will be back. You know, Allan, Trump is in his head. Wherever he's at, he's thinking about Donald Trump. Thank you.